Hi, so today I'm going to show you a tutorial on how to make a really cute envelope mini album using the Woodland Grove card kit. So I made one of these for my favorite things, and I really wanted to do a project that was just made using this card kit. So right before this, you probably saw a little clip of me showing the album, which I edited and put after I made this, because as of right now, the album is not made, so we haven't seen how it came out, but I'm sure it's cute. So this is the side cover. Here's the back, and we have a little washi tape right here. So all of this came from the collection, and then we're gonna open it. This is actually this is a pocket right here, which let me put something in so you can see that this is a little pocket right here. And then this is the front. All of these have pockets in the sides, and they all have little things in here that you can journal on the back or put a picture on those. And then this is this side here, and this over here, and then we flip through on this side here, and this opens up. And then we have a little thing here. Remember, there are I could show you. So that one is that one. There's one here. There's another little thing that sticks out here. And then we have this cute little thing here, this little frame. And then there is something in here too. Let me just open it up so you can see. So there were only 5 different prints of cards. So of course, if you were using, more things, like I did make one, I made a mini album that's a little different than this that I probably already showed in a project share, which I will try to remember to link in the description bar, where I used all different things from officesupply.com. This is in here. And then we have this. And then we have this one, and there's something in here. Of course, we left little spots for pictures or journaling or whatever. This is in here. And we open this, and then this is also a pocket right here in the back. And then you turn it around. So this is the mini album. So I wanted to show you first what comes in this card kit, so you can see the supplies that we are working with. And this is a brand new one. So I have many of these, but this one has not been opened. And getting these card kits is such a good way of getting elements. This one is especially good because the ephemera that comes in it is so good. So I actually made a mini album with this already, but it wasn't just made with the stuff from this, so I didn't want to include it. So I wanted to make another one. Oops, I need to really thank you back for that. Okay, anyway, so this comes with a bunch of cards. These cards are like super thick too. So some of the card kits come with like thin cards, like the newer ones, but these are super thick. So they're really nice bases for a mini album. Like you can feel comfortable not feeling like you have to like back these on something else, which is what I like about some of the older cards. So let me just show you how these look. So it does come with, it says it makes 20 cards. So it comes with 20 cards, but it comes with like 4 of each. So we have this one, which is the same on both sides. We have this one, also the same on both sides. And then we have this purple one. Ooh, one of these little sticky dots stuck on here. No big, okay. And I mean like super duper mega thick. Like, look, you hear that? It's like really good quality. So you could use these as cards, of course. And then this one, which has some foiling, so cute. And then this one, these are really nice background images, which they do on purpose because, they want you to, be able to decorate the front of it and not worry too much. Okay, then it also comes with these stickers. So these are just regular stickers. They're thicker than like, regular stickers, but they're not cardstock. So we have that one, we have this one, we have this one, and then we have this one, and then these are washi strips. But look, they're like strips of washi. These are separate. That's why I didn't want to come up. So those are nice to add a little something. Okay, then it comes with these, which are foam dots, and then it comes with 20 envelopes. I am going to use 2 of these to make the cover a little bit thicker. And then, yeah, and I was back and forth as to whether or not I wanted to put solids to go with this. I think I am going to choose some solids because we are going to use some stash items. Like obviously we're going to use scissors, we're going to use glue. So I think almost all of us have solid color cardstock. So I am going to bring that in, which I will do in a second. And then let me show you the ephemera that comes with it. So it comes with all this ephemera, and these are where the sentiments and stuff are. And these are fun. When I made my album, I actually brought in some other cheap office supply stuff, like the stickers are on the layered embellishment stickers are on Office Supply, pretty cheap. The stationery set used to be on there. There's a sticker set that's on there that's like really nice and like less than $1. So when I did my other album, I did bring those in, but I didn't want to do that on this because I really wanted to stick to like, okay, you really just need the card making kit and a few things from the collection. I mean, a few solids like from your stash, things from your stash. So, okay, let me show you. So we have these pretty flowers, and I'm going to organize these anyway, so I might as well just do it now. We have these butterflies. So cute. We have some sentiments, which we likely won't use unless I cover them. I can't even cover them up because I don't even have, like the sticker book. Usually that's what I use. So we probably won't use these. This one says happy birthday. This one says you are the absolute best. We might actually use that one because that one is cute and not so specific. This one says thank you. So we probably won't use this one. We do have a frame, which is nice. This one says love you. We may use that. Oh my gosh. The cheetah. So cute. He's golden too. This is the only way to get the golden cheetah, which is another reason why I got him, because you have to get this to get the golden cheetah. These, which are beautiful. This zebra, this peacock, which has gold foiling, these little peaches right here, which are very nice. I'm gonna put those in my fruit section. More butterflies, lots of butterflies. Some of the butterflies are just like white and gold foil, so you could use this in other stuff. A whole bunch of these little hearts. I don't know if I'm going to do any shakers. In my other album, I did use the tags, like the frames, which is also available on Office Supply. Let's put these bows somewhere. Put the zebra. Not going to use the thank you. More frames. This frame is nice because it has a little flower on the inside. So we'll put the flower with the flowers and the frame with the frames. We have these tags, which are super cute. I love these. This sheet of paper is in the project pad. This sheet of paper is in the regular paper pad. So you see how they're kind of different. So sometimes you have to get the elements. The project pad is available on Office Supply, super cheap. Another zebra. We got cheetah. We got 2 golden cheetahs. Flowers, another peacock, another peach. I think it's not 2 of everything, but it's 2 of a lot of things. Because like some things you don't get 2 of, like you didn't get 2 of each of those tags. You didn't get 2 of the frames. So some of the smaller elements you got 2. You didn't get 2 of each of the flowers. So it's 2 of some things, not 2 of everything. I'll try to find a way to use these hearts, especially since we're limited on supplies and that. Okay, so this is what it comes with. So you can see, and then we have this is what it comes with. It comes with these little guys. And then I'm going to pull some solids and I'll be right back. I'm also going to get like my glue, my double-sided tape, those kind of things. And I am going to show you like how to do the base of it, but then I'm going to speed this up because this is going to be like a tutorial / craft with me. I'm going to tell you what you need to do for the basics, and then I'm going to make it sped up because number 1, this video would be 100 years if I left it. Number 2, I have a book that I'm trying to listen to, and I can't do that if I'm talking to you guys. So I love you, but I gotta go. Okay, so let me get my solids, get my supplies, and then I'll be back to give directions on how we're going to make the base of this. Okay, guys? All right. See you in a second. Okay, I'm back. So a few sheets of paper, some metallic cardstock, and a paper cut later. Ugh, crafting is definitely not a no contact sport. But anyway, I'm going to use this. This is out of a scrapbook.com paper pad. I am obsessed with those. These are 6x8, and actually I was going to cut this down to 5.5 by 8. So I mean, I don't even have to cut this one if I don't want to. So that's nice. But the hinge, we're going to work on the hinge, and the hinge is going to be 8 inches wide by 5.5. So I am going to have to trim off 1/2 inch of this one. And then we're going to be scoring it basically every 1/2 inch from 2 to 6. We're going to score it every 1/2 inch. Okay. So it's about 9 score lines total, but I'm going to do that in a second. So you could use any of these sheets of paper for that. You also are going to want to get at least 2 sheets of cardstock because I think I'm going to make my cover, the base of the cover, be this color. And this definitely cannot be 110. So this needs to be like 60-ish pound cardstock. And then I just got some metallic gold. I don't know what I'm going to use it for. R.I.P. Joanne. This is one of the old school Park Lane things. And it has different shades, like, different finishes of gold. I don't know what I'm going to use out of this, but I wanted to have it. Okay, I also grabbed some of just my normal supplies. I have this mug that has some crafty stuff in it. I got this mug for my friend Eb, and I was going to use it for tea, but then I decided, no way, I want to see it all the time. So now I'm going to use it to hold crafty stuff. I have my double-sided tape in my little dispenser that hubby made for me. This 3D printed. I have my little trimmer thing here. I also have, I separated all the stuff and put it into one of these little things. I can't remember where I got this from. I got it recently, but I cannot remember for the life of me where I got it from. But anyway, I use it for that. And then I tried to put all my supplies in this little bin because I will be tempted to pull from other places. So I really don't want to do that. So that's why I just put everything in here. So I'm going to show you how to make like our base first. And then I'm going to fast forward you guys and you're going to watch me work while I listen to my book. Okay. All right. So I guess I am going to use this. And we need a sheet of paper, like I said, that's 8 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. Okay, so let us trim that down. And you may have a regular sheet of paper, but just trim it down. Okay, so let's trim that really quick. I also have my headphones because I'm ready to go. Okay, I'm ready for my book. Okay, so let's move this stuff over out of frame, please. Thank you. All right, I'm using my scoreboard here, and this is already 8 inches wide. This is already 8 inches, but if yours wasn't, you would want to cut it to 8 inches. So I'm going to cut this down to 5.5, which is just taking 1/2 inch off of here. Easy peasy. I'm going to save this because you just never know. We're working with limited supplies here. Oh, my Band-Aid is not staying because of my lotion. Ugh. I got a really bad paper cut getting those purple sheets of cardstock. Okay, anyway. We're going to be scoring here. One thing I hate about this scoreboard is that the scoring stops at 6 inches. Thankfully, we don't need to score past 6 inches, but I mean, if we did, ugh. So that's one bad thing about the works. I highly recommend the, this is my favorite, but they don't make refills for it anymore. This is my favorite scoreboard of all time, but this comfort thing is not made anymore. American Crafts! Make these. We love this. Why did you stop making it? Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway. All right, so I'm going to use this since it's still sold, whatever. And I don't know where oh, here it is. Okay, that's one nice thing about this. All right, so we're going to score starting at 2, going to 6. If you have a scoreboard that starts on the left, you can still start at 2 and go to 6. This is symmetrical, so you just turn yours upside down. Okay. All right, so we're going to do 2 inches. The first one's going to be at 2 inches. And actually, I think scrapbook.com is slightly more than 60 pound. I think that this paper is, 230 GSM. So it's more like, 80, but, or like, 70-ish, whatever. It's fine. Okay, so 2 inches. Then we're going to go to 2.5. We're going to do 3. We're going to do 3.5. We're going to do, be careful with this because as it scores, it wants to like lift up. We're going to go to 4. We're going to do 4.5, and then we're going to do 5, then we're going to do 5.5, and then we're going to do 6, and then we're going to stop, okay? So basically, we have 2 inches on each side, and then we have 1/2 inch in between. We are going to use 6 envelopes. So we're not using nearly as many as come with it, but that's because I don't want this tutorial to be 100 years long. That's the real reason. All right, so we have this here. Okay, so we have our paper here now. This is at 2 inches, right? And then these are every 1/2 inch until you get to 6. Or if you had a scoreboard like me, then this is 2 inches. And this is every 1/2 inch until you get to 6. But they are symmetrical, okay? So the 2 over here is the same 2 over here. They are symmetrical. If you go upside down, it's the same thing, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this second score line. And I think hopefully you could see here. So we have one score line here. We're going to go to the second score line. And we are going to score away from us. So we're going to score it like this, okay? So we're going to score Same thing on the other side. The second score line, we're going to fold it away from us. Okay, so we folded it away from us. Okay, so look at that. So now we have, everything else is straight. We haven't folded anything yet, but we have our second score line folded away from us. So folded down. Okay, so this has become a mountain. Okay, valley is down, mountain is up. So this has become a mountain. Okay, now that we have our one mountain, we're going to skip 2 score lines and then we're going to do another mountain. Okay, so we have our mountain here. We're going to skip this line and this line, and then we're going to fold this one away from us again. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to fold this one away from us again. So this is I'm going to tell you what number score line this is. So we folded score line number 2 away from us. Starting from the left, we scored score line number 2 away from us. Then we skipped 3 and 4 and we folded score line number 5 away from us. Okay, so again, skipped 1, 2, we folded away from us. 3, we skipped. 4, we skipped. 5, we folded away from us again. So we have 2 score lines that are folded away from us. Okay, then we're going to skip 2 more. So we're going to skip number 6 and number 7, and we're going to score number 8 away from us again. Okay, and then the last one, which is the 9th one, we're going to skip. Okay, so right now we have 3 folds away from us. They're all folded in the same direction. They have all become mountains. You see how they're mountains? So we made a mountain out of score line number 2, score line number 5, and score line number 8. Okay, hinges can be extremely tricky if you don't pay attention, but after you do it a few times, you'll understand the logic behind it, and then it'll make sense. Okay, so we did 2, 5, and 8. The other score lines, we're going to leave them. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So if I turn this now at 90 degrees, you'll see that this has become a mountain. So all I want to do is squeeze my mountain together and then flatten out the rest. Okay, so I want to squeeze this together and I want to make the other ones that are around it just straight. We don't need to fold them at all. We just leave them there. Okay, and then look, we're going to also do the same thing here. You see that? And then the same thing here. So we're just pushing it together and then pushing the other one down. So just do that, okay? So I'm using my nail, but you can use your finger to basically just squeeze it together and then push down. Squeeze this together, push down, and then squeeze this together and push down, okay? Now we have a hinge, okay? We have 2 inches on each side. That's basically what we have. We have our little space in between here is a 1/2 inch. So now what we're going to do, that we folded it. Folding it helps it because then you know that you're gluing in the right places. We want to glue our mountain together so that it's flat. Each one of these 3 mountains, we want to glue together that it's flat. So we're going to turn this over, and we can do this with glue or double-sided tape. All of our little mountains that are now upside down, our paper is double-sided, so it looks red, so maybe that'll make it a little easier for you to see. But we're basically going to put glue on the inside of one of these sides and then squeeze it together. Okay, that's what we're going to do. You can also use double-sided tape here if you want. It's up to you. I think that I will use double-sided tape just because I think it'll make it easier for you to see. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But what we're going to end up with is something that looks like this. It's going to have 2 little spaces and then our 2 inches on each side. That's what it's going to look like when we're done. All right, so let me use my double-sided tape. Now, each one of these is in 1/2 inch. So if you want to use 1/2 inch double-sided tape, you can do that. Or if you want to use something slightly less, what's important is that you make sure that you have tape or glue all the way to this edge, okay, so that our whole mountain stays together. Now we're going to put tape on here again on the outside after, but we just, we want to make sure that we have a good mountain here. Okay, so I'm going to put some double-sided tape on my first mountain. So remember, these are our mountains, right? We turned it over, and now we want to tape our mountain shut. So I'm going to put some tape. You can put on either one of these sides. I'm just going to do it right here, and I'm going to go up to the score line, but I'm not going to go past it. And I'm going to put some double-sided tape. I'm going to try to make this so you can see it. It's a lot easier to craft not on camera. But you're going to put some tape right here, and you don't want to go past the score line. And then I use my trusty scraper tool to just rip this off right here. Okay. so that is that. And I'm actually, normally I would have put all the tape down, but because I'm recording and I want you to see, I'll just do these one at a time. So we're going to take my double-sided tape off. That's what a pokey tool is good for. This pokey tool is from Miss Crystalline. And then I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to burnish right here just to make sure that it sticks. And now look, my mountain is glued together. So see my mountain? It's become a flat mountain. All right, we're going to do this with this one and this one. So let's do that again. So we're going to turn over, see where our fold is. I'm going to put, it gets a little bit tricky here. So if you want to just fold this to the side, you can. Okay, so now here's our other fold. So I'm going to put some tape right here. And I hope you're tracking. If you have any questions, just put them in the description bar. I know hinges can be tricky. Sorry, put it in the comments. Okay, so I'm going to put tape down here. And I don't want to go past my score line. A lot of people rip, but I use this to tear because I'm picky. If you want to use glue for this, you can. So we're going to take this off. So we're leaving that space right there, and then we are going to close our mountain. Okay, so let's close it. Let's burnish. And now we have two mountains next to each other. And there's a space in between them. See, look, we have our two mountains. Okay, our third mountain needs to be taped. So let's do that. So I'm going to push this over to one side. We're gonna like burnish this again later and make sure that it flips easily. Because remember, this is our hinge, which means this is what we're going to attach our pages to so that our album pages go from one side to the other. Okay, so we have one more hinge right here. So we're going to put tape right there. And if you use glue, that's fine too. I sometimes use glue, but I think I'm going to use double-sided tape here just because I feel like it's going to really show you like where we're putting adhesive, you know. It took me, I remember watching someone's hinge video and it being super confusing. So I hope that this is helpful. It took me a few videos to find someone that explained it in a way that I could understand. So hopefully this helps. And if any tape goes over, I just use my finger. Okay, so then we're going to close up our last mountain. And we're going to burnish it. So now we have our three mountains. Okay, look. So what we're going to do, we have our three mountains, is we're going to push all of our mountains to the left. And we're going to burnish because we want this to like, you know, turn the page easily. Okay, so that's that. And then we're going to push all of our mountains to the right. And they might be really stiff, especially if you use 110. And we're going to do that, okay? So now we have burnished them both ways. So we want it, they should be easier to go from side to side. See that? Okay, I'm also going to turn it over and do the same thing. I'm going to push all of our mountains to the right. I'm going to burnish again underneath. And then I'm going to push all of my mountains to the left. And then I'm going to burnish again. You just want this to be easy to go from side to side. Okay, now something also that I always do is I always put tape here. And even if I'm going to go back with glue, I always put tape here. I'm going to use, I usually use thicker tape because I want a tape that's going to cover up this whole thing because it's going to kind of tape it down so that it'll be nice and flat. I'm going to use my huge tape here just because I can't find I usually use my 2-inch tape for this, but I don't know where it is. So we're just going to use this because it's close. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take like some of this and just put this like right here. It doesn't have to be like, you know, all the way to the edge, but that's what I am going to do. So I'm going to put it right there. And then when I'm using this, I don't usually use my, I usually use my X-Acto knife. I usually use my Cricut blade, but that is with my planner stuff right now. So I'm going to use this one. This one is super sharp. This is a Tim Holtz one that I got on Office Supply, which I also like. Just you don't have to press hard at all. Okay, so that's good. Okay, and then for this top part, I'm just going to use my regular tape just because, again, I usually use my 2-inch tape because the thicker the tape, the more expensive it is. So I usually reserve that huge tape for album covers. But because I am on a tutorial and my book is waiting for me, I'm like, all right, just go fast. And I'm going to put some glue when I actually put this hinge on too. So if you don't cover every single spot, it's cool. Okay. So I usually put this down because then it kind of, you know, it covers this. Keeps my hinges together. All right. So now that's our hinge. So this is what's going to go on the inside of our album so that our pages turn. Okay. So we're going to add a set of pages here, a set of pages here, a set of pages here, and then these are going to go on the outside. So remember, we scored at 1/2 inch, which means that our hinges take up 1 inch, but I also like to leave space on this side and space on this side. So I used to like to leave 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, so that's another inch, which means that our spine for this album is going to be at least, this is 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Did I say 1 inch? This is 1/2 inch, this is 1/2 inch, and then I would like to leave 1/4 inch on each of these. So our spine needs to be at least 1.5 inches. Does that make sense? So we have 1/2 inch here, and we have 1/2 inch here, and then we have 1/2 inch, which is 1/4 inch here and 1/4 inch here. That just leaves room for any dimension that we add. It leaves 1/4 inch on each side of the page for, like, you know, if we add, you know, ephemera or whatever, you know, we're adding stuff. So that means that these 2/4 inches make 1/2 inch, another 1/2 inch, another 1/2 inch. Our spine needs to be at least 1.5 inches. Does that make sense? Okay, so that is how big our spine is going to be, 1.5 inches. And we are going to start making our covers too right now. Okay, so let's do that. So let's transition. So we did our hinge. Our hinge is off to the side. Easy peasy. To make our covers, we're going to use, each cover is going to use 2 of these envelopes. So we're going to need 4 envelopes to make our 2 covers. And then we're going to use 1 of these envelopes to make our spine. Now, we just talked about the fact that our spine is going to be 1.5 inches. Each one of these envelopes is 4.5 inches tall and 5.5 inches wide. Okay, so we only need 1.5. So we just need 3 inches of this, and then we're going to score it in half. So we're going to bring back our scoreboard. And yes, this is a real envelope. And before I do this, I'm actually going to seal this, and I don't like licking envelopes. So this is like the only time that I use these tape runners. I'm going to use a tape runner to keep this closed because we do want all of our envelopes to be sealed. Okay. Okay, good. So now this is closed, and this is actually too wide for this. So I'm actually going to use this instead because, this is an expensive way to close your envelope. So I'm going to use my thinner one because double-sided tape is not cheap, but I do not want to lick this, guys. You might be okay with licking it. I am not, especially if I know that this is going to another person. I'm just, you know, picky that way. So I don't, you know, anyway. All right. So these are going to be all closed. Okay. So you can close it however you feel is necessary. You can use water. You could use those little moistener things. You could use a baby wipe. Baby wipe, actually, I should have done because I actually have a baby wipe right here. Okay, so this is closed. Okay, so we have 2 of them that are closed now. This one is a little bit sticky, but it's on the outside, so it's okay because we're going to cover that up. All right, so for this, we're going to use 1 of our envelopes. And first, we're going to, we're gonna cut it down to 3 inches. So I'm going to cut down, I don't think it really matters what side you cut down. It really doesn't matter, but I'm going to cut it down to 3 inches. So on the 4.5 inch, we're going to cut it down to be 3. So now we have 3 by 5.5. So we have 3 inches this way by 5.5 this way. And actually, it's not 5.5. It's 5 3/4. Okay. So we're going to cut it down to 3. So now it's 3 by 5 3/4. And we're gonna take this on the 3 inch side. We're going to score it at 1.5. Basically, we're going to score it in half, okay? So we're going to score it at 1.5. And press this down a little bit because, remember, we're going through 2 sheets of paper. Okay? So we're gonna score, and then we're gonna fold this, and I'm gonna fold it this way. So this is gonna become our spine. So we're actually using our envelopes in a very efficient way. We're using them to be our cover and our spine. So this is our spine, okay? Spine is just the outside of the hinge. So the spine is like the outside of your book, okay? And then we have these guys. Let's try the baby wipe, right? So let's try this. I'm gonna close these up. So we're gonna take 2 of our albums. Oh yeah, easy peasy. We're gonna close them up. I don't know if that worked, guys. I don't think it worked. Let's see. I wonder if I'm wiping off the, instead of closing it, I'm wiping it off. It doesn't have to be closed all the way, honestly. Honestly, if it's just closed a little bit, it's fine because we're gonna like tape these together. So it's really not a big deal. Because what we're gonna do now is we're gonna leave these as is. And I'm gonna move my scoreboard over to the side. I feel like this tutorial is a little bit hectic, but it's because I'm having some sinus and inner ear issues. So I'm hearing myself differently than how you guys are hearing me. So this is a bad day to do the tutorial, but I'm committed. So here we are. All right, so this is 2 envelopes and we're gonna just sandwich these together like this, okay? And then we're gonna glue them together lightly. They don't have to be glued together perfectly. I'm gonna use my tape runner here that I never use. That's because I don't feel like tape runners are sticky enough. I mean, the Scotch one is pretty good, but that one ran out. I'm gonna put glue, like tape on top of this part just because I feel like it. This one is pretty tacky. I don't know, I don't trust this kind of tape to like really hold my projects. That's why I don't really use it. You guys tell me, do you guys have a tape runner that is like legit? Because yeah, I just don't trust it. All right, so we're gonna sandwich these together and we're gonna have our envelope opening sides in because I don't want any lumps. And how I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna just put these like this. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna hold it like that and I'm just gonna hold up the corner. Come on. Okay. This shouldn't take this long. I might have to speed this part of the video up. Oh boy. All right, good enough. There we go. All right, so we have our cover. It's not perfect, but it's okay. This doesn't have to be perfect. So this is cover number 1. Let's also do cover number 2. Okay, there we go. We did it faster. All right, so now we have 2 covers. Okay, so we have 2 sets of envelopes taped or glued together. You could use either one. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna cover this as if it's chipboard. Okay, so we're gonna, and actually while we're here, let's tape our little spine together too. Why not? Might as well. While we have our double-sided adhesive. And the reason why I say this is not like, you know, a big deal is because we're gonna cover this in paper. So it's gonna stay closed just because of the paper. Because actually, look how this is still open. I forgot about that part. Let's put a little bit more tape in here. There we go. Okay. All right, so now we're closed. So we have our little pieces here, and this is basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover this up. Now, I like to use the lay flat method for covering in this. So we're gonna cover basically each one of these individually. So I'm gonna take my first sheet of purple. Okay, and I'm going to use glue. No, I'm not, sorry. When I do the covers of my albums, I never use glue because I don't want any issues. I usually use double-sided tape, and this is where I usually use this double-sided tape because I'm usually using chipboard for this. So we want to put tape on one side of this. You don't have to use this big old tape, but that's what I do. And then we're just gonna cut right here. Okay, easy peasy. And then we're gonna take the tape off of one side and we're gonna stick it on our paper. Now, our paper, we just wanna have like a 1-inch border around. So you could measure this, but I don't. I usually just look at it because it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm like, all right, is it about an inch? Yes. It's an inch here and an inch here. And then I just take my scissors, which my big scissors are right here. And I just cut off, like, I just trim the edges. So I leave myself about an inch here. And I just cut an inch on this side. And then I go to this side. And I just cut an inch over here too. Okay, so what I'm left with is basically an inch on each side. Okay, now normally I'm using chipboard here. So I usually then go and try to score. I score these. So what you're doing is you're using this edge to make a score line here. This may not work as well. No, it's working pretty good with the envelopes. I was going to say, if not, you could actually go on your scoreboard and then score this, but it's working pretty good this way. Yeah. And then you just score that like that. Okay. So we're going to do that on all 4 sides. Now I'm going to get out my bone folder here because I'm getting into bone folder territory. I usually like to use my bone folder for this. So then I'm going to score the opposite side. I'm going to use my bone folder here. And if I was going to use this scoreboard, let me show you what I was talking about. Okay. If I was going to use this, like I was saying before, I would basically try to find a score line that lines up with this. So maybe I would use this, maybe this 7/8 one. So I would try to feel around, yeah. So I would go up and I would score this using the scoreboard, you know, just in case this wasn't like a hard enough surface. And then I would score it that way. But I think that the envelopes, 2 of them together is enough of a surface. But you see how it would score really easily? That's one way that you could do it. But I have found that doing it this way is working just fine. You just don't, you know, you don't want to fold your envelope. You just want to fold at the line of your envelope. Okay, so now we have 4 scores. And then we want to go and I've done this on other things, I think. But we want to cut 1/8 of an inch away. It's better that this is too big than too small. If it's too small, you're going to have a space here where you're going to be able to see the white, and we don't want that. Okay, so we're going to go about 1/8 of an inch out. So let me see if I can, okay. So I want to be, you see how I left space? And even more space than that would also work fine, okay? It's better to have too much here than not enough. Like even that works, okay? So we're gonna go around, we're gonna do that on all 4 sides. And then this is garbage. So now we have this. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and we're gonna put double-sided tape on the edges here. And I actually have this tape here. So this I don't mind with like the tearing because this is gonna be covered up, but I do usually just use this. Okay, so we're gonna put double-sided tape on the edge of all of these. And we're gonna also use some glue for this part. My boys are laughing downstairs, so you might hear them. I'm actually doing this during the day, which is rare for me. I usually do this kind of stuff at night when hubby's home, but they're done with homeschooling, so I just figured I would get this started because I did want to do some crafting. So I'm going to go through and burnish all of these. Okay. And then I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to do, I like to do these 2 sides and then these 2 sides or these 2 sides. I just like to do opposites first, okay? Basically. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to take off this little piece of the double-sided tape and I'm going to use my glue And I'm gonna put glue. First, I always put glue right here against this corner. I feel like it helps with the folding. So I'm gonna put some glue right here. Okay. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of glue right here. And then I'm gonna fold this over. Okay, easy peasy. Okay, so I'm gonna burnish both sides. Okay, so I did that. Good. Then I'm gonna do the opposite side. Like I said, I like to do opposite sides first. I'm gonna take this off. The reason I take this off first is because you don't want your glue to dry. So we put glue right here on this corner, and then we put more glue here. And then we use this and we burnish it. Okay, and I usually do this because like when we're doing cards, chipboard, which you could have done chipboard here if you wanted to cut your chipboard to be these measurements. You could, that's what I usually do for albums, but I wanted to just use the card kit. Okay, now on this part, this is where if you cut more, so look at the difference here. So this was one of the 1/8, when we cut closer to 1/8, this was closer to a 1/4, but either one is fine. You see how you just have more fold over here? That's okay, because we're gonna fold this and it doesn't matter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically press this down, or press this down, and then we're gonna just fold it into this. Okay, so that's why even if it's a little bit bigger, it's okay. If you did it farther out, it's okay. You just have more to fold. If you did it too small, you might have a white spot and you may be able to see it on the inside of your album right here. You'd be able to see it. So we don't want to go too close. Okay, so now we're going to do the other side. So first thing I'm going to do is press down those sides so that they're easy to fold. That's what I do first. Okay. And sometimes I use this part of my bone folder just to press. I like to fold that in first so that I can have a nice neat fold. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing we did over here. We're gonna take this part off. We're gonna put glue in the edges. And then I always go and make sure that I put glue on that little fold over part because I want it to stay. And then do this, and then we're gonna push this over. Okay, so I always pull this in. Okay, and then pull this in over here, and then burnish. And I usually have like a microfiber cloth here, which I bought these black ones on Temu to see if they worked like the scrapbook.com ones, and they do. They basically come on a roll. Mine are kind of stuck together because I use Fabri-Tac on it. And it really does glue together fabric because it won't come open. All right, so let's do the other side on this cover. Okay. Oh, in here first. And then this. Okay. And the reason why we did double-sided tape is because the double-sided tape gives us like our immediate stick while our glue dries. Okay. See how this sticks? This part sticks immediately while this part gets a chance to dry. And we're going to cover this up because this is going to be the inside of our cover, which we are going to put a piece of card, basically a piece of a card on here to cover this up. So that's okay. Okay. So now we have our front cover. The back cover is done the exact same way. Let's go to the spine. So you're gonna do that times 2. Okay, now we have our little spine here. The spine is done slightly different. So I'm gonna use what I had left over. This had a baby wipe on it. So I'm actually not gonna use that, but you could have used what we had left over here. I don't want to because that's folded. But you're gonna have another piece of this left over when you do your back cover. So I'm actually gonna cut this to be the same size as this because I want you guys to see how you could use your scrap. Are you guys, do any of you guys have boys where they always loud? Because my boys are, I go to houses with people that have girls, and it's like they're like sitting down, like, you know, I mean the little ones are the loudest. Like the 5-year-old is the one screaming in delight right now. But they're all pretty loud. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to have basically a little over an inch on each one of these sides left, because this is what we're going to use to attach our 2 covers together. So we're basically, and then the top, as long as you have like, you know, an inch, you're good. So this is actually like the perfect scrap here. So I'm going to pick the side here that's the better side and make that be the outside, but I'm going to put double-sided tape here. I would normally use like maybe my 2-inch tape, or even I may actually use my thicker tape, like this is like 1/2-inch tape. I may use this instead just to make it faster. All right, so now I have double-sided tape on my entire spine. I'm going to take my double-sided tape off. Here. And I didn't tell the boys I was recording either, because usually if I tell them, they try to be quiet, but they're just having fun. It's daytime, so I don't really want to make them be quiet. All right, so you're going to put this so that you have at least an inch up here, and then in the middle of the other, whatever's left over. So at least over an inch on each side. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so we're going to put that down. I'm going to cut this so that it matches up here. I might have to tell them that I can be quiet because they're having way too much fun. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing I did on the cover, which is I'm going to score this using the edge here. So I'm going to push this down and score this. Hold on, let me tell them, because they're going to be like extremely loud. Hold on. Okay. All right. So we're going to, like I said, use the side of this and score. And then we're going to burnish right here. This is why using your bone folder is better, because I almost cut up my spine using that. Okay. And then we're going to do the other side. We're going to use this and we're going to score. So we did that. Good. All right. So we have these two, and then we're going to fold this. And like I said, this is going to be done a little bit differently. For this side. Okay, so how this is different is we are not folding and covering this up, okay? We folded it this way, but we're actually gonna leave this like this now that we have all 4 of our folds, and we're just gonna take our bone folder and we're gonna like score, we're gonna almost like crease it so that it folds over the top, but then it like folds again on the bottom, almost like our little hinges. So we're just going right next to this on the side here, and then the same thing on the other side. Okay, like that. Okay, but we are gonna fold the top and the bottom. So those we are gonna fold over. Okay, and I'm gonna use glue here just because it's open and it's right here. And because it's on the inside, I'm not so worried. Because this is gonna be folded on the inside, I'm okay with using glue. So we're gonna actually glue this entire side. Okay. And this is where this is helpful. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this over. And I'm gonna do that. Same thing over here. Okay. Okay, let me take off this Band-Aid now because you can't really tell. Okay, good. All right, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and I'm gonna turn it over. And I'm going to reinforce, because remember that this is the outside, so this is the part that it matters how it looks. Okay, good. All right, this is our spine. So now the only other thing you're going to do is right here, you're going to miter this a little bit. So we're going to cut like just a little tiny bit. So we're going to go right here. We don't want to go before, okay, not before, after. And we just want to trim it down a little tiny bit like that, okay? I like to see the front, so I'm gonna do that from over here. Okay, like that. on both sides. So here too. And also here. Okay, easy peasy. So now we have this. So now our spine is good. This is going to be where we put our hinge, okay, on the inside. All right, so now I'm going to put my cover together. So give me a second. I'm going to do my other cover off camera, and then I'm going to be back, and we're going to put this together, okay? So give me 1 second. Well, for you, it's literally 1 second. Okay, of course, it's been a little while since I... If I have to, like, stop, and then if I leave this craft room, there's, like, almost zero chance that I'm going to be able to come right back because these kids got their hands on me, and that was the end of that. So I made the other cover. I think that's all I did was I made another cover, and we already, when I left, we had already made this hinge. So I made another cover. Okay, so now let's put it together. So we're going to put our base together. So we have our hinge, we have our spine that we had already created, and we have our 2 covers. All right, so now let's put the base of our album together. So the first thing we're going to do is, we're not using our hinge right now, is we're going to put the covers together with the spine. So we're going to look at these and see which one is better. They look basically the same. I think this one is slightly nicer. So this is going to be by front. This is going to be the back. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach. So this is the inside. This is the inside, right? I'm going to take the outside, and I'm going to basically glue. And I'm basically going to glue, like, we're going to leave like almost a 1/4 of an inch, like a little bit less than a 1/4 of an inch. We're going to leave. So we're going to put like a space, and then we're going to glue this. And our little board helps with this, because if you look here, this is on this line. So let's put it on the thick line. So it's on the 0 line. And if we put this just like about a little under a 1/4 of an inch out, you see that we have like a little space here, and that's what we want. We want it to be straight though. So actually another thing you could do, and this is a better thing to do, is to use a scoreboard. So if you put this here, if you make sure, this will make sure that you're even, because this is against this and this is against this. Okay. So even though it doesn't look like it's folded, because sometimes the folds can be tricky here. So we have this folded like that, right? Okay. So we're going to use our scoreboard to help us to make sure that this is lined up. Okay. So we are going to leave a little bit of space. It's weird because, yeah, we're going to put some glue, and we're going to leave it about a little more than that, like almost a 1/4 of an inch of space. Okay. So let's put glue on this. Not on here. Okay, let's put glue on here, because then we can just put it down. So we're going to put glue here on this, and we're going to put glue here. Okay, but we're not going to go up to the edge. We're just going to put glue on this part. All right, so we're going to lean this against here, and we're going to lean this against here. So we're going to make it about a 1/4 of an inch, a little bit less. So I'm using my little ruler over here too. And I'm pushing this against here, and that will make sure that we have it even, because sometimes this can be deceiving, this little line. So we're just going to use this, and we're going to use this to know. We're using our ruler here, and we're using our scoreboard. I was trying to find oh, here it is, my little bone folder. Okay, so that is what we did. And so now I'm gonna press this down under here, all the parts where we put glue, and we're gonna cover this up. So it's okay if it's not, you know, there's not glue on every single part. Okay, so look at that. And maybe, I actually maybe would have made it a little bit closer, but I think it's okay. It's fine. It's okay. You'll just be able to see a little bit of that, but that's okay with me. Because if you do it, you can see how this is cracking. That's why I don't like. So you know what I've actually started doing on all my albums? I'm not doing it on this because I'm trying to just use the card kit, but I've actually started using fabric on all my spines, because I just feel like paper is just not reliable to not crack, you know, especially when you're doing all this folding. And Joanne was my favorite kind of paper. like my favorite kind of solid paper, and Michael's paper is terrible, and it's just been difficult to find. This is actually the Harmony paper, but you know, if you press down, it's just, paper is just too finicky. I mean, if this happens, I usually just put glue right here, and then I just kind of let it dry, and then you won't be able to tell. But it's just like, it's not worth it for me. I bought like a bunch of fabric, which I'll have linked in the description bar, and it's just like a bunch of solid colors, and I just use that. A lot of people get fabric from the thrift store, and it looks pretty, so I've been using a lot of fabrics to cover my spines, but it's okay. This is fine. This is fine. And actually, we could actually even cover this part up if we wanted to. I hate that. See that? That's gonna bother me. I mean, it's not going to fall apart, but I don't like it. You're not going to be able to tell though. Once you put the glue, it hides it. I just don't like that's like that, you know. Anyway, all right, let's do the other side. We're going to keep going. And you see, like, you don't know, because like this side is fine. Anyway, all right, so we're going to use our scoreboard again over here, and we're going to lean that against it, and we're going to put glue just on the edge here. We want to put a decent amount of glue here. Okay, and then we want to put some glue here on this part. There we go. Like, it doesn't really want to come out. Okay. I think something is stuck in my glue. All right, so remember, we're going to use this, and we're going to use this to go about 1/8 of an inch. Let's do 1/8 of an inch on this side, and maybe we'll make this the front. So let's do 1/8 of an inch. So you see how this is at 1/4 and this is at 1/8. Okay, that's down, and we're going to make sure that it's adhered over here. Okay, and then now we're just going to do a little flip here, and this is going to be our front. Easy peasy. So the back has the tear and the front is nice. So look at the front. Good, good. So you see we have a little bit of space there, but that's all good. That's what we want. And we have no tear. So that's the front. Okay, all right, so we have our front and we have our back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attach our hinge on the inside. And we want, some people do their hinge like they leave slightly more space at the top if they're going to put like flips and flaps and all kind of stuff. I'm just going to put it in the center. So we want it to be centered in 2 ways. We want it to be centered this way, and we want it to be centered this way. Okay, so we're going to use the edge here to see if we're centered. And we just basically means that we want our hinges to be in the center of this spine. Okay, so remember, I put a lot of sticky stuff here. So we are already ready. We are going to put a little bit of glue just to reinforce it. But we are basically good to go here because we already put our adhesive. This score tape is made by Scorepal. It's the tape that says Sookwang on it. A lot of people search for Sookwang, but if you just type in score tape, this is how you find it. And it's made by a brand, sometimes called Scorepal. I have it linked in my description bar at all times. It is the best. It is so sticky. Like, my hand will stick to this. The scrapbook.com tape is also pretty good, but it's always sold out. So I'm going to just put a little bit more glue here, especially on the edges, even though we're going to cover it up. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here just to reinforce, just to make sure that it is lasting, long lasting. And then we are going to take our hinge and we're going to try to center it and put it down. So if I wanted to use I never do this, but if I wanted to, since I'm on a cutting mat, I could use this and just put this in the center and put this in the center. But I'm not going to do that because, I mean, you can. That's why it's good to work on one of these glass kind of mats things. This one is actually from Office Supply. This is a Tim Holtz one. I got it for a super deal. And I'm just going to stick that right there. So I'm going to put some pressure on the inside of here and also here. And we are good to go. Okay, so we have done this. Go in there, and go in there, and go right there. You just want to make sure that it's pressed down everywhere. Okay, good. Okay, then we're going to find where it folds which is right about here. And we're gonna put some pressure here and score right here. And we're gonna do the same thing over here. We're gonna look at where it folds, right about in there. And then we're gonna score right here as well. And that just makes it easier for this to bend, okay? You wanna be careful because you don't wanna put a hole in this. This provides extra reinforcement on our fold to make sure that our album stays together, which is what we want. All right, so now you have an album. Okay, so we have our little front here, and it's still not it's not too late to choose a side, but remember I wanted this to be the back because that's where my little tear line is. So this is the front, this is the middle, and this is the back. Okay. Try to see why this is lifted up right here. Oh, okay, it's because of underneath. This doesn't matter, but since I'm here, I might as well. Okay, because I want to cover this up with paper. All right, so we're gonna cover, I'm getting to the point where it's time for me to speed up now, like speed up the camera and just put on headphones and get to crafting. Tutorial is over, okay? The tutorial part of this is over. Oh, but it's not yet, because let me show you how we're gonna do our little hinges. So what we're gonna put on our hinges. So on here, on the sides here, we're gonna use, and you're gonna see me do this, I'm gonna be using my cards. So here's an example, and I'm gonna actually use these as cardstock. So I'm gonna cut this probably in half. I don't know if I'm gonna use this one, you'll see. But I'm gonna put this on top of here, and you see how that's gonna cover up. So I'm gonna cut this in half, so pretend it's like this, and I'm gonna use it as cardstock to cover up this inside. So do you see how that's gonna be covered up over there? I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I don't know which one I'm gonna use, we'll see. And then for the inside of here, I'm gonna do a really fun method that I learned from, I think it's Helen Griffin. I'm pretty sure that it's her, but I'm gonna put a link to the video that I originally saw this method from. So what she does is she uses 2 envelopes. She takes the 2 flap parts and glues them together right here. So you can glue or tape them together. And then you have 2 parts. You have this part that has one of the envelope sides, the flap, and then you have this part. When she glues them together, you only want to put glue. You want to start putting the glue right here and glue this part together. So I'm going to put, I'm going to start putting glue right here, and I'm going to glue, you just want to glue this part of the flap together. So you could actually also use double-sided tape. And if you did, this double-sided tape probably will show you the line a little better. You want to start down here. So I would start like right here and do a straight line across. So you want to leave some space here. And that's because this is what we're going to use to attach it to our hinge. So we're going to actually glue this onto our hinge right here. Okay, so you want to leave space. So you want to attach all of this down here together. Okay, so all of this is going to be attached to this other side. I'm going to use this to press this down. That's like a trick that I do too. Sometimes if I want to go around a corner and I don't feel like doing that, I'll just fold it, and then it'll leave like bunches here, but you're not really going to be able to tell them. So when you take this off, you're just careful around the corners, because sometimes it tears. And then look, even though it's folded, it's kind of flat, so it's okay. That's what I do when I want to go around corners and I don't want to stop because I'm in a rush or I just don't feel like it. I don't want this to take forever. That's the thing about double-sided tape. It's a lot slower moving than glue, but when you do those kind of things, it kind of helps out with that. Okay, so we put tape on one side, and now we want to put these together. We want to adhere these together. So leave them down, put them together so they're lined up, and then just press them together. Good. All right, so now we're gonna press this down, and this is gonna be covered, so it's okay. And press that down. So we're gonna do this 2 more times, okay, so that we have 6. And then what we're basically gonna do is the inside where we left it open is going to be what attaches here. So let's do that now. So this part is what's gonna go onto our hinge and get glued down. So do you see how it looks? That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna glue it down. So it's gonna go like about halfway, and that'll make it easy to go back and forth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this up a little bit, and I'm gonna take my glue, and I need to put glue on both of these sides, okay? So I'm gonna put glue. You also could do double-sided tape here. Double-sided tape would make sure that it's on both sides. So maybe I'm gonna do that. And maybe we could have done this step before, but you can still do it now. So I'm gonna put double-sided tape on the edge here. I'm gonna lift this up and put this on the edge. Hopefully you could see that I'm going on the edge here. And I'm gonna put it on this edge. Okay, and then I'm also gonna put it on this edge. So the inside of both sides, because the hinge is gonna need to be taped on both sides. And this definitely is something that I should have done first beforehand, but I think it would have been confusing for you to see before anyway, so it's kind of good that we did it like this. Put it in there. Good. All right. So now we have double-sided tape on both sides. I'm gonna just burnish it really quick. Okay, and I'm gonna take it off of one side. I'm not gonna do both sides because I don't want this to hinge together. That would be a tragedy. Okay, so now we're gonna take this, and I like to do it this direction because I want it to be even this way. And I'm gonna push this down as far as I can, make sure that it looks straight, and then I'm gonna press it down. Okay, so I don't know which side. I think the bottom side is what attached, yeah. So the bottom is what attached. Just going in here to make sure that it's good, okay? And then now, I'm gonna open this up and take the double-sided tape off of this. Okay, and then I'm gonna press this down, and I'm also gonna adhere it here. Okay, so now look. So I have what looks like it's only one, on one hinge, but it's actually a page here that we're gonna cover, a page here that we're gonna cover. We're gonna use a card on this part. We're gonna cover a page here and cover a page here, okay? And you're gonna see this when I speed up what I'm working on. But what you're gonna do now is you're gonna take your pieces here. So I'm gonna take one of each of these cards, because remember I have 5 different cards. So I'm getting my cards. So I have this card, I have this one, I have one of these, I have one of these purple. Okay. That took me way too long. I told you guys I'm not feeling the best. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these in half. I'm gonna cut them right on the score line because they're gonna become like sheets of paper basically. I think it's easier for me to see if I do it this direction. So I'm just gonna basically cut these at 4 1/4 essentially. Okay, so that's cut. And that's gonna make us 2 little sheets of paper. When I actually did this the first time, I actually cut off this little score line because again, I'm very neat. So I actually did this and then I went back and I cut off this little score, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I didn't do that, but that's what I actually did when I did this in real life. I cut off this little part here because I didn't want the score to be on the edge. I wanted it to look neat. So, all right, so now I have basically 10 sheets of paper, but it's really cards, okay? So that's what I'm gonna use to cover up this part. But to do this, we're gonna leave the cards as is. So what we're gonna do when we get to that section is we're actually gonna use the card how it is, and we're gonna take the open side and we're gonna glue it onto here, just like that, okay? So that's what we're gonna do here. And then afterward, what I did was, because you're gonna see here that you're gonna have a little bit extra hangover, I just cut that part, okay, afterwards. So what I'm gonna do for this, I think, is I'm gonna put double-sided tape here on both of these sides, and then I'm gonna stick it on. I'm also going to put a little bit of glue on the inside. Okay, that's what, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of my thicker double-sided tape on the insides of both these sides, and we're putting it on just how we put the envelopes on the hinge, is the same way that we're putting the cards on the envelope. So, okay, I was like, where's my little guy? There. Here. Okay. And I actually think I'm going to do this. Yeah, so that way when it goes across, I'm going to do it like this too. Because I do want my card to stay together. So, okay. Okay. So I'm going to do this. Take the tape off. And good. All right, so we took all of our tape off, okay? So we want to, and we can go like pretty much to the edge here. Okay, so we can just do this, hold it up. We just want to make sure that it's even in this direction, but remember we are going to trim it. So we're basically gonna attach it here on that side, right? And then close it up on this side. Okay, so now we have our card, and look how it attaches. Okay, so then I told you that what I did here was, because there's extra, I just used my scissors and I just kind of just like cut the, and if for some reason the fold was kind of off, this is your opportunity to fix it here too. So I just cut, like, hopefully you can see, I just cut right here. And I just cut this part off right here. Okay, and then I do the same thing on the other side. Just to make it a little neater. You may not care about this. I do. I like my projects to look neat. And then right here on this side. Okay, that's it. Easy peasy. So that's what we do with the inside. On these parts, we're going to use our paper to just cover it up like that. See that? So that's going to be that. And then we're going to adhere something else to the inside. So that might go here. Then that's going to be our card. And we might put something else there. And then we might put something else on the outside. So that's actually 5 different sheets, and we have 5 different cards. So that actually works out perfectly because we have 2 on each of here and then this. And I may make all my signatures exactly the same just to keep some uniformity. I think that might be cute. So that means that all my middle cards are going to be this. So we'll see. Maybe I won't do that. We'll see. But you will see it as I speed this up. Okay, so those are all of the instruction parts of this video. Now, finally, for me, the moment I've been waiting for, which is for me to turn on my book and let you guys watch me work. This is a craft with me. I don't think I'm going to do a voiceover. I think I might just put some of my son's music on here. So, yeah, so enjoy whatever music we put on. He has so many songs, so I'm going to let him choose what song goes with this video since we're not in a season right now. I didn't have him make me any custom music. I did have him make me a custom song, but it's not done yet. So we're going to use some of his other stuff that he has in his vault. And I'm going to go through, and you're going to see me repeat the steps for making this envelope. You're going to see me actually matting these on here, and then you're going to see me decorate. And then I'm going to come back when we are all done and show you what's finished. Okay. So this is my first time like recording myself like this. Like this is essentially like a craft with me. So we'll see how this goes. If this goes well, maybe I'll do more crafts with me's where we just put on music, because or voiceovers, because I tried to do a craft with me where I was actually like talking real time, and I do not enjoy that at all. Like for me, crafting is done silently, listening to a book or some music and just like jamming, you know. And so yeah, the craft with me might be pushing me a little bit too much outside of my comfort zone. Remember, this channel is fun for me, so I can't make crafting not be fun or I won't do it. All right, so anyway, we are ready to go, okay, you guys? All right, so you're gonna see me all sped up with music. Enjoy.